That brings us to broad topics, starting with the dream match of the decade, Kurt Angle versus Samoa Joe. I said the words to you at one point, dream match of the decade, you like ruffled your nose and you made a face. So, having watched the match, how do you feel about the moniker for Kurt Angle, Samoa Joe, dream match of the decade?
I don't think it's the dream match of the decade. Furthermore, I don't think it's the dream match of that year or the dream match involving Samoa Joe in this time period. But I still think it carries that weight well. And I think that it is, like, it's not that it doesn't deserve that name. Like, it's fine for it to have that name.
Yeah, and if Angle Joe sat in the Angle Danielson tier of never happened, there would be people like, holy shit, what if Angle Joe happened?
Yeah, I think it's just because, I don't know, we live in a world where it's happened multiple times, that maybe it's lost a little, like, the thing with, like, a Joe Kobashi is, like, you know, it happened the once. We got it the one time. So maybe that adds to its mystique a bit. But, like, I don't know, I think that I did sort of, like, you know, go, when I heard that, but I do think that after seeing the, like, totality of this month, like, they got it to feel a certain type of way, and I appreciate that. And the match itself did deliver, so I appreciate that too.
So on the October 26th Impact, after they brawled at Bound for Glory, after they brawled on the Impact Go Home show for Bound for Glory, they do officially announce at the very start of that episode that at Genesis we will be getting the match between Kurt Angle and Samoa Joe. Later in that show, JB says Angle will speak later tonight before Samoa Joe appears behind him. Joe says he and Kurt have already gotten to know each other and he's going to see Angle up close and personal tonight.
Which is... But, like, the thing about, like, the Joe and Angle thing is, like, they really didn't do a ton this month. They kind of... It was as simple of a build as one could get.
Like, you could argue that they could have not been on TV this month and they've already done the build.
Yeah. Like, it was mostly just, like, kind of shot, like... Like, you remember when, like, the original Double or Nothing was happening?
Yeah.
And because, like, they didn't have TV, like, the Cody Dustin match just kind of, like, lived through internet videos that they released. Like, sort of, like, to camera interviews and, like, a couple of vignettes and, like, a couple of, like, music, like, hype videos, you know? They kept it very simple and, like, out of necessity. But I feel like, this had like a similar vibe, and maybe that was because Kurt wasn't doing every TV at this point. But like, I don't know, I think it suited it. It made it feel kind of like a UFC sort of build.
Yeah, because like there's 4 episodes this month. Kurt and Joe have an interaction on the first one and the last one, and then the middle 2 are just video packages hyping it up. So like it is pretty scaled back. It is pretty like just a straightforward, no nonsense pro wrestling build between these 2 big badass wrestlers.
Do you think it was because they were still sort of testing the waters on like how prevalent Kurt was going to be? Like they were seeing where he was at because of all of the like bullshit that was being talked about?
I think there's part of maybe they wanted to just keep him feeling special on the show. And I think another part is probably story-wise, anytime those 2 are in the same room, they have to fight at this point. Like that's just the way those 2 are. So it is probably for the best that you don't overdo that. Like they do a third pull apart basically on this show after doing one at Bound for Glory and doing one on the Go Home show for Bound for Glory. So could you do another pull apart afterwards? I think it was more like we've told the story. It's like badass. They want to kill each other. That we don't need more than that.
That makes sense too. Yeah, I know there was a curious for a company that storytelling technique is go to sort of pump the brakes and just let it soar through the month was an interesting choice.
Because you would think the instinct would be, we have Kurt Angle, let's put him all over these television episodes immediately. It's just, this is going to be the Kurt Angle show. And that's not the case. It's like Kurt is a wrestler on the show as much as AJ Styles is this month.
Yeah, which is why I sort of thought maybe they were still sort of sussing out where he was at.
The end of that first Impact of the month, we get a feature on Angle and Joe's brawl at Bound for Glory. Then Kurt comes to the ring. He says a lot of people ask him why he left WWE. That's the first thing he talks about in this first official like in-ring pro. I guess he kind of did want to Bound for Glory, but this is his first time in the ring talking on Impact. And he's like, so I left WWE, and people keep asking me about it.
Well, I you know, that is TNA tradition. You have to have your like first real promo be about why you left the other place.
They do have to sit in the canon of D'Lo Brown.
Exactly. They have to respect the law.
They're asking, was he fired? Asking, was it a mutual release? Did he quit? He says he quit.
You're damn right I quit.
You can't fire me, I quit. He wanted to wrestle for the best wrestling audience in the world right here in the Impact Zone. He then starts a TNA chant. There's no other company that has the talent TNA has, and he wants to kick all their asses. When you're the best in TNA, you're the best in the world. And then he addresses Joe as the crowd chant, Joe's gonna kill you. Angle says he's terrified of Samoa Joe, but he loves fear. When he's afraid, he wrestles the best and breaks ankles. He didn't know Joe was a bleeder. He loves bleeders. Joe comes out, and they're immediately separated by security as we redo the pull apart. The locker room separate them. They get loose one more time as the show ends. It's the Angle Joe segment. I do love Angle just being like, I'm scared of Samoa Joe. I appreciate him like willing to say something like that.
Yeah, I like this Angle. It's very fun. I think Angle early on wants to be a team player, or at least have that vibe of a team player, because like he doesn't come in like big league. You know, he's very much like, I'm gonna put everyone over right now in this promo. Like, I'm gonna put over the talent, I'm gonna put over the show. This place is cool, it's interesting, there's a bunch of young talent that I want to wrestle. So it's a very sort of giving way to introduce yourself instead of like, I'm gonna go here and tear through everyone, you know?
We were watching DP Dub last night, and there was a backstage Eric Stevens promo that was like very much the same thing. It's like, oh, you know, I look at DP Dub and I see loads of great talent, and I'm really excited by all these young guys. And it's like it's kind of fun that is the template when you're like the established veteran coming to a place, that you put over the young guys, you establish that you want to work with them, and then like you start doing your angles and you start calling them dog shit, and rubbish and terrible wrestlers, and I'm gonna beat the shit out of you. But like you do come in there and you put over the territory first. Yeah,
because you know it's that old like adage of, if you tell everyone they're shit and they ain't worth shit, when you beat them, you beat shit. I also like that in the pull apart with like the roster coming out, like two of them with the naturals.
Yeah.
And I'm like, guys, what are you doing? Don't get put in this.
You're not like Sanjay and David Young and whoever else they would send out for this kind of segment.
Like, come on, guys. You just did a big angle and like you got a new look, and don't and like also your heels. So like, I don't feel like you would care if these two wanted to kill each other.
Yeah, I feel like if like Terry Taylor or TNA official walked up to you backstage and like, go out there and break that up, the Naturals would be like, no.
Yeah, exactly. And they should have.
That actually should have been an angle. Like we should have cut backstage to somebody being like, hey, get out here. We need to break this shit up. And someone like the people that should say no should say no.
It's like they go to like the X Division, everyone's running out, and like Saban's like, fuck off.
Me getting between them. No.
I like pull apart angles. I think my favorite pull apart trope is like during the pull apart, someone else gets pissed off and lays out one of the guys. Like I think there was like, was it the Orton Cena thing where like Danielson started laying people out?
Yeah.
Yeah, like that just lives in my head, you know? I really love that, like, yeah, you guys have a thing, but like, I'm not fucking subservient to you, you know? Like, I'm on your level and I will take either of you out if I have to.
And we had a fun play on that recently with like FTR and Adam Priest. It was a similar thing, that like in a pull apart, and they spun off into their own angle because of it.
Yeah, I like that stuff. I like layers to feuds and stories.
Yeah, that these guys are just not faceless nerds there to be like just pulling these people apart, that they're actually characters in their own right. And if Kurt Angle hits Sanjay Dutt, Sanjay's going to be a little pissed about it.
Yeah. Could have done the Naturals, to be honest, and then had like the Naturals like attack Kurt, and then like you could do something with Kurt running through the Naturals.
That's his first match.
It would make more sense than the actual one.
We'll get to it. November 2nd, Impact. The only thing we have on the show is at the end of the show, we end on an Angle Joe training montage as we show them working out intensely ahead of their match at Genesis.
Very like UFC. When I was watching this, I was just like, Joe is so cool. Yeah. Just seeing like Joe doing kickboxing, and he looks giant, and he's just like sweating like a it just looks like a fucking monster.
He is built for this kind of pro wrestling build, isn't he?
He looks like, yeah, when you would see footage of them hyping up like a heavyweight fight in the UFC, and you're like, this fucking beast of a man.
Yeah.
It would be nice if like this company was that all the time.
Because, like, this is the same kind of build they do for the Lockdown 2008 match. They just go back to, like, because there was a big talking point at this point in wrestling history. I think we've talked about it before, where it's like, what can wrestling learn from the UFC? Because this is the beginning of the point at which UFC begins to, like, ramp up in popularity, and wrestling is slowly ramping down in popularity. So, like, the big thing is, like, what can wrestling take from UFC? And it is this shit. It is, like, serious, treating matches as if they're sporting endeavors between people who want to beat the shit out of each other. That's all they had to take.
Yeah, it's a good element to take. Like, it feels like you're watching, like, to go to, like, that cross, like, something from Battle Arts or Pancrase or, like, you know, just it feels authentic.
Yeah. The November 9th Impact, we get another feature, this time with a bunch of sound bites as they talk about how they're excited to kill each other. Angle made Joe bleed. Now Joe wants to carry Angle's blood as a trophy. Angle guarantees match of the year. Joe guarantees crushing him.
I like that. I mean, Angle's like, we're going to have a really good match. And Joe's like, I will kill him. I will end his life. I will remove his soul from his body.
Yeah, I do like that as a fun contrast. It kind of makes sense based on how their first confrontation played out, where Angle got the better of it. So he's like, oh, you know, let's have a good match. Whereas Joe's like, I want revenge for him making me bleed. I want to kill him.
Well, like, the thing is, like, Angle's whole demeanor with this, like, feud isn't, I have a personal vendetta against Samoa Joe. It is, I want to fight the best and have the best match.
Yeah. And Joe was like, you are coming into my territory. I'm going to fucking kill you.
And you're treating this like we're going to have a good match. And that pisses me off because I wanted the war.
The Go Home Show, which is the 2-hour primetime episode of Impact. Impact is primetime on Thursdays going forward. Not 2 hours yet, but this is a 2-hour special. We get a package and Angle Joe. Then Samoa Joe does his traditional squash of Jay Lethal. I think it's his third time doing it at this point.
They're like, we have the primetime special. We must throw out all the tropes.
Our favorite classic matches. In classic Joe Lethal fashion, Lethal does get a little bit of hope that he probably wouldn't get if Samoa Joe was wrestling Chase Stevens. But Joe shuts him down quick, wins with the Muscle Buster Coquina Clutch. Joe keeps the hold on after a match, and then there's some exhibition business that we'll talk about when we're talking about Chris Sabin. But Joe says he wants Angle's blood after the match.
You got blood fetishes in the TNA.
Listen, the man famously walked around with a freaking rusty-ass blood-stained towel for like 6 weeks, long after that blood had dried and coagulated and looked really gross. So if anybody does have a blood fetish, it is Samoa Joe.
Blood for the blood god.
Later in that episode, we have Kurt Angle in his first TNA match. The first TNA match is not against Samoa Joe in the Dream Match of the Decade. He wrestles for the first time on the Primetime special, presumably to try and boost the television rating for the first Primetime Thursday episode on Spike. He wrestles the winner of the Fight for the Right tournament, which we'll talk about in a moment, the Monster, Abyss.
Okay, I have so many problems with this match on paper. Abyss is about to challenge for the world title. Spoilers, he's about to win it in some bullshit. So it's like, I understand doing this match and putting it on the primetime special. It's a big match. There's so many ways out of this, and they've just booked themselves in a corner where it's like the number one contender has to lose to Kurt, and then that makes the Abyss Sting match look like shit. It makes Abyss look like shit going into it. And I on one hand, I'm like, hey, they did a clean finish. That kind of shows balls. But on the other hand, I'm like, we're just completely fucking Abyss heading into this. Like, especially when we have two guys that they're wrestling at the pay-per-view, which have no qualm about interrupting a match. I'm just like, why didn't Joe get involved? Why didn't Sting get involved? Why didn't we throw this out? Why did we have to tap Abyss out?
It does seem wholly unnecessary, especially as we'll get into it when we're talking about it. But they're trying to do this story this month about how the kind of One Ring-esque nature of the world title is corrupting Sting. And that could easily be played into here if he like lost his mind and ruined the main event. Then they're like, what the hell, Sting?
Yeah, like it would have been perfect for the story that they want to tell with Sting. A story that otherwise barely has any progression until like the payoff. It's like, it would have been a great little tease to Sting's character heading into the pay-per-view. It would have protected Abyss. I don't know. It feels wholly unnecessary to like just have this be a match with a finish, which feels weird to argue against, but like it doesn't make much sense to me.
Yeah, like the big problem is we were talking about on the watch along is if you were to look up and down the TNA roster at this point and say who is the perfect first opponent for Kurt Angle, the answer is probably Abyss.
Chase Stevens. Oh yeah.
If you want a good match that people might be interested in watching, the answer is probably Abyss. Because like he's an upper mid-card heel who has credibility, but you can always just have him lose. The only problem being he's number one contender for the NWA World Title.
I feel like there was other options. Like Bobby Roode couldn't have had this spot.
That's true.
Like, I don't know, like Chris Sabin, you know, there's like people he could have just gone in like and killed.
Those people are lower on, like, I'm trying to think of like upper mid-card. Like you could have done Rhino, I guess.
No, he was busy.
It's babyface. Oh, he's on this show. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, the cage match is on this show. So yeah, I was thinking like, oh, he's done with Christian. It's like, no, he's done with Christian after the match on this show. So it couldn't be Rhino.
You could have. I mean, they had Daniels winning it, so it's like couldn't have had Daniels. I don't know. I think Bobby Roode is right there.
Yeah, Rude is probably the guy, but even then, like Rude is doing this new character thing that has barely been on television. I guess he's in the Fight for the Right this month, but it's not like the character's gathering steam at the moment. So maybe they would have thought he was too low down for like a marquee match.
But I think it would have been good for him and good for the character if he's like the first guy to go toe to toe with Kurt.
Or just do AJ. Just fucking do AJ.
Yeah, it's not like he has something super important at the pay-per-view.
No. But yeah, they just had Abyss lose heading into his NWA World Title match against Sting, in which, as you said, he won, quotation marks.
Well, again, to go back to this match, like, not only does, like, Abyss get tapped out, like, Kurt kicks out of the Black Hole Slam for the first time, and, like, it was even booked in a way that made Abyss, like, less impressive.
Yeah, and as you said, he tapped out, which I don't think Abyss has done.
They made the point of saying that it wasn't, so.
And they could have had him pass out. They could have just had him beaten with the angle slam.
They could have had Mitchell throw like a towel in to protect Abyss ahead of his title match.
Yeah, but having Abyss just tap out, it's like, it is one of those things. It's like, why would you do? It's such a self-inflicted wound on Abyss for no reason whatsoever. And
especially again, like you have Sting right there to do some bullshit.
Or you could do it with Joe. Joe could just come down and they brawl. It's not hard. And this is fucking Vince Russo. It's not like this is protected, clean finish company. You know, this is the company that always does the clean finishes, so they have to deliver a clean finish here. Like, it's Vince Russo. You could do some bullshit. They do some bullshit after the match.
They do some bullshit all the fucking time.
The match itself, though, is very good. The crowd are into Angle to a degree that it feels special.
Yeah. I mean, like, this is the most heated you'll see the Impact Zone, you know? Like, they are alive and electric the entire match.
Yeah, they're and that's an interesting theme this month in general, in that I do think the crowd have given Vince Russo a reasonable benefit of the doubt, good faith chance. Yeah. You know, it's not the case that the crowd have heard Russo is back and have immediately started chanting "Fire Russo." The crowd are doing their best to be the TNA hometown crowd for this very important show, an important match, an important time in TNA history. And that doesn't last very long. But that's not due to their lack of trying.
I also think, like, this isn't the month to turn on him. So, like this is the, you know, I don't think you can necessarily be too mad at this month, even with this match's booking being, like, kind of annoying. It wasn't, like, horrific, like, wrestle crap stuff, you know? It was just, like, a kind of misguided booking idea.
Yeah. Abyss has the power advantage early on, so Angle goes for the legs. James Mitchell disappears and reemerges with a wheelbarrow full of thumbtacks.
Specifically, a red wheelbarrow, because he's the devil.
Oh, is that the way it works?
I'm guessing. Red means devil.
He does wear a red suit, and he is the devil.
Did we ever get Loki Angle?
No, I don't think so. Tenay does respond to the wheelbarrow full of tacks with the quote, "That's what TNA is all about."
Yes, okay, sure.
And I don't think he meant it that way. I think he meant like, oh, surprises, but like, yeah, a bunch of bullshit. That is what TNA is all about. You're not wrong.
This match is what TNA is all about, to be fair.
You will get Loki and Angle on the opposite side of a bunch of tag team matches.
Beatdown Clan?
In 2015 with the Beatdown Clan.
Yeah, let's fucking go.
So you'll have to wait a little while, but you'll get some Loki Angle and some tags.
That's good. That is enough to satiate.
Mitchell dumps some tacks out on the floor. Mike and Don are very excited about the possibility of Angle Joe. They keep talking about it. Abyss takes a bunch of fucking phenomenal looking German suplex bumps for a man his size.
He has one where it's a little wonky, but it's like, fair enough.
But there's a bunch of them where he's like going high on the neck and back, and it's like, dude, you're too big for that, but I appreciate it.
Which is why the later one was more of a low angle.
Angle kicks out of the Black Hole Slam. Angle gets the ankle lock that Abyss struggles in, but Angle eventually grapevines it for the win. Very good TV main event here on a good episode of Impact. I think once again proving one of the things TNA is good at is like the one-off we need to make an impression episodes. And this was a show that had one good match and one very good match.
Because like again, TNA, their greatest feature is their ability to do resets. And like a big show like this, where they have to do a showcase, is kind of like a pseudo reset show.
And this is kind of like the beginning of a new era. This is the post-Jarrett era of TNA. Like it is a fundamental shift, I think, post-Bound for Glory 2006 is like just a pivot in the era of TNA. If we were to say, like if we were to define TNA eras, I do think this would be the beginning of a new one.
It feels it at least. And also because, booking changes.
Yes. Joe appears after the match and exchanges some moves with Angle. Joe hits Angle in the face with a chair. Abyss and Joe come face to face. They decide to go after Angle some more together. We have some Sting Abyss stuff that we'll talk about when we get to that, but it comes back down to Angle and Joe. Joe locks Angle in the ankle lock. Angle is now bleeding as Joe locks in the coquina clutch. How did you feel about Joe making Angle bleed before the pay-per-view?
I don't think I felt one way or the other. I can see the argument of like, you want to save that, because that's like the payoff, but especially with the way the match goes. But I don't know. I don't think I have a problem with it. I think it would have been something like if they did it and saved it, maybe I would have registered more to me. But the fact that they didn't do it didn't like irk me.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I think if you were writing a textbook case, a textbook argument for how this angle should go, the textbook argument would be you do not do the blood payoff until the pay-per-view. But did it meaningfully affect my anticipation for Kurt Angle versus Samoa Joe that they did the blood on TV rather than the pay-per-view first? No, not really.
Yeah.
It is fun to contrast the wacky bullshit we'll get into in a moment with Sting Abyss, and then with the pure sports, we want to fight and make each other bleed. Angle Joe stuff. This is the same company somehow.
I have a question.
Shoot.
Is TNA the major American promotion with the most world title changes on TV?
Oh, Attitude Era probably fucks you.
Like on average.
I would say the answer is probably WCW, because I think WCW did a lot of title changes on TV, and especially when you get into like 99, 2000, they change that belt every 2 weeks. So I think WCW probably has it, but I would say probably in terms of post WCW, definitely. And even taking out WCW, I think TNA are number 2 behind WCW.
I don't think I dislike that. I think having TV be a place where a world title change could happen is not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah, because I'm trying to think of how many TNA have had. They did more in the Hogan Bischoff era. There was a more plentiful title changes on TV there. The first one we'll get isn't until October next year, I don't think, is the first time the world title changes on TV in TNA. It hasn't happened yet, has it? I don't think so.
I don't think so, no.
Because even world title matches are pretty rare on TV, even at this moment in TNA history.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. In 2006, is Lethal Jarrett the only world title match on television so far?
That seems right to me.
I think it is. I can't think of another one. So at this point, even world title matches are pretty rare. That, of course, like, because it goes down to like Russo's respect for belts is fundamentally like think about the number of times belts changed hands this month, where it's like the X title changes hands like it's fucking nothing in this month of TNA TV. So like Russo's respect for belts is just fundamentally different from, again, what you would say the textbook respect for belts should be, and that results in a lot more title changes and title defenses on TV.
I don't hate it. I also don't think it necessarily makes like talent look bad to lose titles often, because like it is people fighting, and people fighting just lose sometimes, you know?
Yeah, there's always like there's a middle ground, like Russo goes too far the other way where it is just like, who cares about Saban and AJ? Like Saban wins the belt and loses the belt, and AJ wins the belt and loses the belt. Like it's just, and like Daniels is not a champion for very long either. So like there's a lot of title changes where like the none of the title changes make any real impact, and there's times where you can do that in a way that meaningfully moves along a story and it's actually exciting and interesting, and then there's times where you're just doing it to do it, and Russo just does it to do it. But I agree with you that it's not the case that it's just like you should never change titles unless it's been a 3-month title reign. It's like, no, dude, you can do anything if you do it well.
Yeah, that's how I feel too.
TNA Genesis, the main event, the dream match of the decade, Kurt Angle versus Samoa Joe.
This match fucking rules. It's so sick. It's fucking great. I am astonished that this is not a match that is talked about more by people. I think if you haven't seen this match, or if you only saw it when it happened, you should do yourself a favor, go back and watch it. It's up on the TNA YouTube channel, like right now. Like, it's awesome. I think I went 4.5 or 4.25. Like, it's really good. You can put it up there with anything that you were seeing in like ROH that year. As far as like a pure like in-ring great pro wrestling match.
I highly recommend people go listen to the watch along, because Liam has a very fun crisis during this match where he realizes it's awesome and he's wondering how they ruin it.
Because my theory was, like, I never hear people talk about this match. So in my head, that Russo fucked it, and he did something that ruined it, and that's why people don't talk about it, and that's why I've equated like the first 3 Joe matches into the one match, which is the cage with the Kurt wearing the like MMA shorts. Like, when I think of this feud, I think of only that match, and that's unfair because this rocks, and it doesn't have bullshit. And up until the final moments in this match, I was assuming some bullshit was going to happen that was going to ruin it for me, but it didn't.
It is interesting how the lockdown match has come to define this rivalry more than this match has, because like this match was very well acclaimed at the time. It was considered like a special professional wrestling match just because like the atmosphere and like the idea of these two wrestling, and then they did deliver bell to bell. Like it's not the case that like people were like, oh, it was pretty good. Like coming out of this match, people were like, that was great. That was what I wanted from a Kurt Angle Samoa Joe match. I think that people might have thought it was a little short. I kind of liked that it was really, really tight, but that might have been like the only critique coming out of it. But you are right that like the defining Kurt Angle Samoa Joe match is the lockdown match. That's the match with the Joe title changes, with the like MMA hybrid stuff. That's the match that historically, if people talk about an Angle Joe match, they talk about that one more than they talk about this one, even though this one delivered on just as high, if not more of a level for like the first time ever dream match. Yeah,
it's very interesting that this is a match that is sort of just lost to time. So I'm encouraging everyone listening to this to please go check it out. Give us your opinions in the Discord or on the Patreon, because like I would love to hear, if you haven't seen it before, how it hits for you, or if you did watch it when it happens, how has your memory of it shaped up in comparison to watching it now?
So JB gives us the big in-ring introductions for this main event match. The crowd chant "This is awesome" at the bell, so it's a regular Arthur Ashe Stadium match. Not quite that atmosphere, but Angle hits the post full force, and then Joe follows with an elbow suicida, does a loop of the ring with Angle in tow, and then smashes him into the steps. Angle comes up bleeding like crazy. Like Angle, if one thing I will say, it's like a trickle of blood on the TV on Impact. A lot of blood here.
Maybe that was the trade-off. Angle's like, we know we gave them a little on Impact. We have to give them the full fucking thing here.
Joe immediately starts working over the cut and then paints his chest with the blood because he's the fucking best pro wrestler of all time. Angle hits some rolling Germans, the third of which is meant to be an overhead German, but Joe just kind of lands on his neck and shoulder because he doesn't go all the way over, and it kind of looks better for it.
I mean, it looks like a shoot takedown.
Yeah, it looks like what a shoot overhead German between Kurt Angle and Samoa Joe should look like. Joe hits the Muscle Buster and Angle kicks out, making him, I believe, the first person in TNA to kick out of the Muscle Buster.
Wow, Black Hole Slam and Muscle Buster back to back. Nobody can beat this man.
Yeah, any protected finish, Kurt's just kicking out of it. Lance Hoyt is kicked out of the Black Hole Slam, though. I do remember that. So Kurt's not the only one. Joe kicks out of the Olympic Slam, so at least they
Spiral
return the
Tap
favor.
is coming for you.
That is like the freaking burning hammer of TNA, isn't it? The crowd chants, "Make him tap," which causes Angle to pull the straps down. Joe kicks Angle's leg out while on an ankle lock and turns it into cooking a clutch. Angle finds the ankle and turns it back into an ankle lock. I like that of him, like he's desperately trying to get out of a hold and then he just grabs the ankle. Mm-hmm. Joe rolls through but misses a charge. Angle hits another Olympic slam. Angle puts the straps back up, takes them back down, grabs the ankle lock, grapevines it, and Samoa Joe taps out to his first loss in TNA, his first loss in his near 18 months. The streak is over. Joe has lost to Kurt Angle.
And he immediately is like, fuck that.
Let's do this shit again.
I really appreciate that, like, he, like, gives Angle, like, kind of his props, but he's like, we gotta go again. Fucking let's do it. I have to avenge this loss as quickly as possible.
Yeah, so Joe gets the microphone. The crowd chant, "You tapped out at him." Really interesting atmosphere, I think, in that...
Oh, yeah, we didn't talk about how, like, at the start, like, there was boos for Angle.
Because the crowd is, I would say, broadly pro-Angle, I think, as a whole.
I think they like both of these guys, and they should chant that.
They should. We're 15 years away from what both these guys chant, unfortunately. But yeah, like, it is interesting to watch the dynamic play out of, like, Joe is this crowd's guy, but Kurt Angle's fucking Kurt Angle. So like those two dynamics like bounce off each other for the whole match. So you do get like some boos for Joe, but people want Joe to kill him. Then you get some boos for Angle, but they're super into Angle. So it's a fun atmosphere.
It's interesting because, like, I think part of that reaction comes from, like, Joe coming off the Jarrett stuff. It's like when he's been, like, the guy against the biggest heel in the company. Like, it's not like he's coming off of killing AJ, you know? He's not like a straight heel here.
Yeah, he's been a babyface since the summer. There's been some rockiness on that road, but he's broadly been a babyface since the summer.
Yeah.
Joe says, yeah, he tapped out, but he can recognize it was somebody was the better man on the day, but he wants a rematch. He offers a handshake. Angle blows him off and leaves. Joe says, we'll have to do it the hard way, as Mike Tenay and Don West recap the show a little before it ends.
Yeah, this match is great. Please watch it.
Yeah, it's not as good as it gets for TNA, because there's better matches in TNA history, but like... It is just a fucking straightforward Kurt Angle Samoa Joe match where Angle bleeds a shit ton. Joe's the coolest wrestler on earth and they rock.
On my other monitor, I have Frankie Kazarian versus Kurt Angle playing.
The Slammiversary match?
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, really good match.
Also, Frankie looks really cool.
Yeah, Fortune era Frankie.
Yeah, it's a good look for him.
I guess technically right before Fortune, but yeah, good match. Good era for Frankie.
They're just fucking going, like, it's kind of like the Angle Joe match where they're just going for it.
Yeah, there's a fun story where like Angle is like, I'm going from the bottom to the top of the rank because they
I'm going from the bottom, and that means you, Frankie Kazarian.
Yeah, but like I think it was actually Frankie was the first because like he was number 10 in the rankings, so he was going from the bottom of the rankings toward to the top. They kind of dropped that toward the summer because they have fucking object permanence and they can't.
Because of course they do.
But Angle does eventually end up in the world title match, but through some bullshit.